Welcome to Scale Like a CEO, the podcast where we dive deep into the strategies and challenges of building successful companies. Today, we're joined by Noelle Curtis, CEO and founder of Busy Boulevard, a platform that's revolutionizing how entrepreneurs establish and scale their businesses. Get ready for an insightful conversation about pricing, growth, and the journey from startup to success.
Noelle, thank you so much for joining me on Scale Like a CEO. Just to get us started, if you wouldn't mind, give us a 90-second intro to you and your business.
Hi, yes, I am Noelle Curtis, CEO and founder of Busy Boulevard, where we help entrepreneurs actually establish and scale their companies, starting with how they price so that they can actually grow efficiently.
Great. And what's the biggest problem you see in your industry and how are you solving that?
So, interestingly, Justin, we launched in the beauty sector, although we are an industry agnostic platform. One of the things we saw was just like pricing and making sure that entrepreneurs are actually paying themselves. And so we discovered that a lot of math is overlooked with a lot of entrepreneurs. And so we like to say we do the busy work for you, right? So making sure that your pricing is set to actually include you from a compensation perspective, your company expenses, and then make sure all the other operational features are actually working together. So, are you controlling your inventory? How's the communication with your clients going? Our system covers and integrates all of those elements.
That seems so valuable for the folks that you're serving. I'm curious if there's anything that makes you unique in the way that you're helping folks.
Yeah, so we ask our subscribers all the time when they say, "Oh, I made this much this year," right? Our question is always, "Well, is that gross or is that net?" Because a lot of people are stuck on the gross, but the net is really what matters. And oftentimes in there we discover that they haven't been paying themselves, they are missing bill payments, and so our system really helps create a different framework and a different approach to how they think about their pricing with their companies. We also make sure that they include flexibility into their scheduling. A lot of systems just kind of lock you into time. But what we have discovered again, a lot of entrepreneurs, right, single parents, they're wearing multiple hats. They might actually be working multiple jobs. And so, how are they able to integrate this what could be a hobby that they want to actually leverage into a full-time business or daily activity for them? We make sure that we really walk them through understanding how their day is functioning better. And we do a lot of, I like to say, technical hand-holding support. When you call our office, you will get a human, and we will actually work with you to make sure that you understand how your account is working.
That's great. And
Mhm.
so, you know, it looks like you've been building the business for almost 4 years now. Is that right?
No, we're just shy of 2 years. So
Okay,
we actually, yeah, yeah.
great. And so, as you've been building the business and you kind of
Mhm.
went from being a business of one to starting to build your team, what were some of the challenges that you faced?
Oh my goodness, so many chiefs, not enough Indians. I don't know if I can legally say that anymore. A lot of people are afraid to do work. And so even I personally have to make sure that our team members are cross-trained on a lot of the activity. Although I don't expect them to be working with our developers and coding, I do need to make sure that they can understand how our system flows and they can walk someone through all the touch points of setting up an account. I need to make sure that they are comfortable having client retention conversations. That's been a continual growth area. And then also making sure they're comfortable fielding some of our incoming cold calls. So we get a lot of calls that come in where people are asking to learn more about our software and our services. So making sure they're cross-trained and that they're comfortable and being able to speak about the platform. Again, walking people through setting up an account. They've even had to do some of the training videos, right? On the accounts, you'll even see we have a podcast coming on. I'm like, hey, no, you're part of the conversation. Come on, join the camera. Let's have the conversation. So a lot of cross training on the team.
Yeah, well, that's great. I'm sure that cross training is really valuable. At what point did you decide that it was time to start hiring and building the team?
Oh my goodness. I will say with our lead investor, I did start. this company was an offshoot from my day spa where I had a team. And then we closed because of the pandemic here in Illinois. It was one of the last states to open post pandemic in a service based environment. And when I actually started building the software company, there's a lot that goes into it. I am not the technical founder, if you will, right? I can code enough to know, Justin, I'm not coding all day long. And so it's okay. Well, if I'm not going to be the one who's coding, right? Who can I hire to make sure that they understand the flow and that they can walk through the development phases of our platform? So that was a critical decision. The marketing, the outreach, the branding, yes, it's my vision, but to execute it all would be just an abuse of my personal life and time. And I have to be real honest with myself, right? Just because I know how to do things doesn't mean I should be doing everything. I think I actually put a post out there. It's like, hey, you have to be honest with yourself when you're the bottleneck in your own company and a process. And so I'm humble enough to say, hey, I've got all these marketing campaigns that I won't execute it, but I'm not about to be the one setting up all the ad buys and going through all of that. But I need to get the reports back in. So when I started activating different levels of activity within our company is when I really sat down and said, okay, how can I find the best person aligned to help execute this project? And that decision came, I want to say, well, I shouldn't say it came after. It was before I got funding that I knew I wanted to hire people. It was just a matter of who and the priority that I want to hire first. So,
Mhm. Okay,
mhm.
great.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so it sounds like you kind of encountering this something similar to what our founders do is that point of delegation where I could do a lot of this stuff, but there's no way I can
Mhm.
get it all done. So how do you decide and prioritize what you do versus what you delegate to the team?
Yeah, division of labor is a genuine thing. So I set the tone, I set the goal for the year, breaking it down by quarterly and monthly activities. And then as it relates to who is the kind of second in command on that. It's a combination of obviously seeing their background. I've been very intentional that although I can't offer six-figure salaries to start, right? Some we would start with a contract, and then if they hit key milestones within that contract, then I would offer them the actual employment opportunity. So that was a lot of pre-interviewing information. Yeah, as it relates to who gets assigned to what, it just really depends. It depends on the department that we're handling work within. I
Hmm.
think I answered that question. Like, did I answer that one?
Well, and let me maybe ask from another direction. So tell me about a
Mhm.
time when you were maybe overwhelmed with decision making or tasks, and how did you kind of clear the plates, if you will?
Oh, I've got decisions all day. I'm overwhelmed constantly with decisions and tasks. That's a Monday. What I do is I segment out our quarter based on the goals that we have and where the dependencies in the different departments. So right now we're executing our Q3, Q4 marketing. And we had an adjustment. We were doing several trade shows and several travels for the end of the quarter three, which we decided to cancel those and redirect to advertising purchases. And so with that, I had to go back to the team and say, okay, well, in order for us to move along this quarter, these top three things have to happen. So it turns into I well, I know it sounds very selfish, but I know how I want the company to move forward. And I have to communicate that desire to the team lead who's moving the project forward. So it's really just a dissemination of our project flow, right? We create a project plan, we have steps that go through it, we turn those into sprints, and we track deliverables along the way. Like every 3 to 10 days, we're making tracking touch points. Yeah, I'm trying to think of all the other things we do. There's so many things. I'm big on dependencies and like who's being impacted by what. It looks like
Hmm.
this big logic tree behind the scenes on how we move forward.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you've got some great organization there then. I'm curious, as you've been adding to the team, what are some of the key
Mhm.
qualities that you're looking for in the people that you hire?
So, promptness to deadlines is a critical one. Technology is moving so fast. I mean, we've had changes even since March of this year in our tech stack. And so making sure that they can adapt to that is important. Making sure they're able to understand and digest plans when they change is important. But then also making sure they're able to execute, right? I cannot stand meeting just for the sake of a meeting. And we're not going to have a meeting to discuss the meeting we just had. It's like, hey, here's the meeting, here are the deliverables, here are the expectations. Let's clear the air of any questions. But then, if there are questions that come along as we're executing, here's the point within time where we're going to bring that back. I also empower them enough to make decisions within a certain parameter, right? It's like, hey, you can make a decision up until this point. If they have a budget, you can make a purchase up to this point. If you are confused, definitely come back and get clarity before you do. But for the most part, I give creative restraints is what I like to call it. Like, hey, you can go out and you can do these things, but if it gets to a point where you're legitimately uncertain, come back and check and make sure we're still on the same path. But for the most part, as long as the outcome is you're still working towards that outcome and you haven't veered too far off of here's the plan, right? Here's the plan. Just don't veer too far off of it. And if you are, where's the guardrail that's going to bring you back?
That's great. That autonomy has to be so appreciated by your people.
It does. And that's what takes a lot off of my plate, right? Like one, it's a big trust factor. I have to trust that their decision making process is in alignment with the goal that we're trying to achieve. So if it's with our sales team and with our outreach, how many outreach touch points do you have to have in a day? What happened that you didn't hit that metric? Let's talk about that. But let's talk about it at a particular time in the week. But then that also allows us to check to make sure that they're still in alignment with messaging. If they're bringing back information that can help the team, like if they're running into a dead end on a particular industry, what have been some of the things that have been hindrances? Let's know so that we can go through it as a team so that no one else is running into that same issue.
Mhm.
And we celebrate the wins and the victories. We're big on work hard, play hard.
I love that. I love that. That's so
Mhm,
key.
mhm.
So well, actually, I was curious, how big is the team as of now?
Yeah, so we are 6 right now.
Okay, excellent. And
Yeah.
what's the future look like as you're growing the company?
So excited. We are in the process. I'm on this little podcast tour right now. We have a credit union program that we are in the process of releasing. We actually will be opening the wait list. So the end of this week, we actually have the wait list that'll release. And we're really excited about that. What we've discovered, a lot of the entrepreneurs that we work with are less than 2 years old. And we know that's the area where they need funding and lending the most. And so, one of the beauties of our software is that we are able to identify if they are actually using the system correctly and how they're supposed to. It gives us signal that, hey, these people will actually qualify for some funding to help in different areas. So we really look at if it's inventory or equipment purchases. Those are some of the critical areas that we know most businesses need to expand safely. We can look at that. And if we're not able to support them because of our banking relationships, we're able to make valid referrals. And some of the partners that we have with those financial institutions, if we're not able to support them, we can make the referral there. So that's a beautiful through line within our fintech element. Also, we've already started this, but our enterprise sales, so we started working with nonprofit organizations and other higher ed institutions as it relates to vocational training. That's really been an amazing boom for us to see the nonprofits that are like, yes, how many seats can we get? Our service, the service providers that they support from entrepreneurial lens have been benefiting so greatly from that. And so those two things are some of the things we're really excited about. The third one is, I'm giving you all my little details. We are a software development company. So we launched in the beauty space with our first product, but we also have an agricultural product in the works. And people ask all the time, well, how did you go from beauty to agriculture? I came through the agricultural community growing up. I know there's a need there as well. Someone told me we have a glutton for punishment because we service industries that have lower profit margins. And I was like, well, there's a reason for that, right? No one's really gone in to tool the numbers, and our system has done that. So I'm very excited about that.
Well, that's great. Noelle, thank
Mhm.
you so much for joining me on the podcast. If folks want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do so?
Yeah, so we are at Busy Boulevard on just about every platform. That's BISI BLVD. So we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out. I mean, I do check my emails. I check voicemail around here. Again, no job is too small, even for the CEO. So they can reach us by office 312-809-2474, on our website, busyboulevard.com. That's BISIBLVD.com. There's a contact page there, and they can request a demo, they can request a consultation call. And then even if they just shoot, and I mean, I get my email directly, Noellec at busyboulevard.com. And if I'm not able to help you, or if one of my teammates isn't able to help you, we will actually find someone who can support you.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for the
Mhm.
time today, Noelle.
Thanks, Justin. I appreciate it.